Hey everybody, Adam here from Mental Watches. Welcome back to the channel. In today's video, we have our much anticipated follow-up, which all of you have been asking for. We are sitting down with my good friend Massimo Barracca of Miami vintage watch connoisseur, legend, dealer, innovator, and obviously collector. I asked him to pull out a few more of his watches from his personal collection to show us today, since you guys have always been asking me week after week to do a follow-up with him. And this is gonna be part 2. What that means is, yes, there will be a part 3 because he has a lot more in his case. I figured this video would run on all day. Not sure if either of us could stomach that, so we will do a part 3. But let's jump right into it. There are a lot of incredible watches on the desk. Where do you want to start today?
Wherever, I don't have any kind of preference.
You know what? I want to start with the watch in front of you because you were telling me
this is a very particular watch. And the story is very good also. There's not a lot of people that knows Dino Falcone. Dino Falcone was a jewelry maker, watchmaker in Milan, starting from the end of the 60s, the 70s and the 80s. He passed away at the end of the 80s, and they were him and his son. And they were very famous in Milan, in Italy, because they were incredible watchmaker in pocket watch business. They were working on perpetual calendar, equation of time. They were master watchmaker and jeweler, And he was a very, very good friend of my father, and they were both very passionate in creating something. So my dad and him, they designed, first of all, the second crash watch after Cartier, which was the Dino Falcone melting hour watch from Salvador Dali,
You have one you got to bring in for...
I have it in Iran, they were, my fine and him, they designed it together. He realized something like 15 pieces, just normal watches, also moon phase and calendars, and there were probably 20, 22 pieces only, And at the end of this process, because my father wanted to have a watch really from him and unique, he built up from my dad the only one minute repeater, which is minute repeater skeletonized, made in only one piece for my dad, and inside the effort to
Falcone. Yes. Wow. Yeah. Was this like a fully in-house movement, or did he use a base?
He was working on an Audemars Piguet minute repeater.
Oh wow!
So the base, the Bosch is an Audemars Piguet. And he just built up the whole watch, and starting from the movement, he skeletonized the minute repeater movement, himself, and he built up the case, and he just realized the watch.
Does it still work?
Yes, of course. Yes.
Wow.
Yes. Oh, yes. And he's really the only one watch like this.
So he was like an independent watchmaker before independent watchmaking was really...
He was working with everybody was specializing in pocket watches in Italy in a very high grade market. So we are talking about Audemars, Patek, and even, watches from the 6th, 7th, 18th century, and he was really building up parts missing. So he was a really master jeweler and watchmaker.
Yeah, this is fantastic. And it's, like I love...
And this is very unusual.
It's very unusual, but it's also very personal to you.
Of course.
Like, this was a relationship with your father, which he had as a watchmaker.
That is all the story.
Yeah.
And from this particular man and his son, the series of melting watches, crash watches, from Salvador Dali, they made this kind of series of watches, and you can see starting from the 80s, all the auction, you see these watches coming out.
That's awesome. That's really cool. Sorry, let's stick with repeaters for a second because I see another repeater in front of us.
This is another one. I always loved pocket watches because my father was a major collector of pocket watches. So when I was a little kid, I was just handling his pocket watch collection, starting from everywhere, from watches from the 16th century up, And this was, I always liked the 1930s Patek Philippe Art Deco, but this is a platinum, oversized Breguet number minute repeater. So,
this was really unusual Breguet Newman.
Yes, and this is the explosion. It's not the normal Breguet number, it's the bigger side. This is probably the initial of the,
I think it's cool.
It was an Arment.
Let's see. Oh, wow. Yeah, it still sounds great.
Oh, yes. Quality-wise, those are incredible watches.
Patek was were the best for Menta peers, for sure. Probably still are, Very cool watch. How many pocket watches do you still think you own?
I don't have a lot, you know, because, you know, all the very, very old style pocket watches, like, you know, I mean, is the Chinese, you know, my father had a big collection of Chinese duplex, like Hilberry watches, you know, for the Chinese market, and otherwise, but I kept only these Century watches, which are the perpetual calendar, Patek Philippe, Audemars, Strange, and this, you know, this is the only watches pocket that I have at the moment.
Yeah.
You know? Cool. I mean, so I go along with this kind of style, you know.
I mean, pocket watches are the genesis for all of the wristwatches, obviously.
You know,
And the market used to be crazy.
The peak of the market was at the end, the beginning of the middle of 70s, you know, 75, 77. Then the market crashed completely, you know what I mean, is because of the advent of the wristwatches, you know, and we start completely, and my dad, he was very smart because, you know, he really, I mean, sold the major of his pocket watch collector and transforming the pocket watch collection into wristwatches, you know what I mean. At the very beginning, they were nothing, you know what I mean? So this was the whole idea, and the project was very good.
Yeah, I always found it interesting to look back at old auction catalogs, and it was all pocket watches. The wristwatches were a tiny part, you know?
Of course, I remember the very,
changed. Yeah.
the very, very beginning, there was only Osvaldo, Patrizio with Antiquorum, and there was Daring Snipper with Sotheby's, you know, I mean, is Sam Christie's auctioneer, but, you know, the percent of pocket watches compared to wristwatches, they were probably 75, 85%, and there were some wristwatches.
Right.
You know?
Yeah, exactly. You know, and now the market is totally different. But,
Of course.
you know, if you notice, it's funny you say this century, because I've noticed in auction, especially I was just in Geneva, this century, cool pocket watches like skeletonized, perpetual, Audemars Piguet, stuff like that. They're selling.
Those are the watches, the very expensive ones.
They're selling for
Compare, you know, the market, you know, the very beginning was different, you know, because the very expensive watches, they were the old British watches, pocket watches from the 16th, 17th, 18th century.
There was one.
The only one that is really high in market is Breguet because of Louis Abraham Breguet. Then, you know, those are all masterpieces. So I mean,
No, there was a skeletonized perpetual AP in I think it was like Sotheby's or Christie's, and I was like very strongly considering bidding on it, but then it went for like way more money than I was comfortable paying for something I can't put on my wrist. But anyways, all right, let's move to the right for a second before we get to all the quirky stuff. We have. I've seen a few of these watches before. You have. Massimo has like all of the Grail sports Rolex. Like, there's just no way to put it. Like a Grail.
this is a very, very, very good. You know, this is. I mean,
let's line them up.
Nice watch. Those are very, very good watches. You know what I mean?
There's this one. There we go. So what do we have here, my friend?
You know, I kept the rarest. You know, I mean, yes. So. We have, I mean, 62, 65 Panda Mint
Paul Newman.
for Newman, you know, which
just happens to be like probably my second favorite Paul Newman behind the 6262 because I like pump pushers.
I always like more the 6265 than the 6263. I don't understand why, you know, but this is my taste, you know. And
the steel bezel just gives it a cleaner look.
Yeah, I don't know.
There's not as much contrast.
This was the first series with the very old bottoms, you know what I mean? And I always love the Panda diet. I think it's the more elegant, you know. I don't know, it's something more, you know.
I don't know. I just find it more aesthetically pleasing. I like pump pusher watches more. So I like the 6262, same color dial, white and black with pump pushers. But this is
really mean.
Look at the condition on this watch.
And the bezel is fantastic.
And look at the condition of the dial and the loom. That's like the most important, and it's perfect. It's 10 out of 10. Wow. Yeah, and like you said, the early MK0.
Yes.
How do you pronounce it in Italian?
Milleri.
Yeah, I don't want to say
one line.
Everybody else gives me shit because of my pronunciation of other languages. So there you go. Beautiful. On the left, we have a James Bond Big Crown Submariner.
6200.
The Holy Grail reference of Big Crown 6200 with 369 dial. This is Big Crowns by themselves are Holy Grail Submariners from most collectors, but this is like the tippy top of the Big Crowns.
I remember when we were finding these watches in Key West. We bought so many watches like this in Key West.
Why
Key West area? You know, the keys.
Yes. Because a lot of divers down there?
Absolutely, yes. You know what I mean? And there was something like the early 90s, you know, 90s until the end of the 90s, you know, we were finding these watches in the Keys.
Yeah,
you know? Miami Keys, you know what I mean?
I heard a couple stories of single Red Sea dwellers coming out of the Keys.
Of course.
Yeah. So what would you guys do? Just go camp out in the Keys and look
We
at
were just
people's
reading
wrists?
advertising and this around, and we were going to pawn shop, you know what I mean? They were just finding these kind of things, and they were nothing. We were paying something like $2,000-3,000 this was.
Yeah, worth a lot more now.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think having the 369 Explorer style dial,
I think it's the best Submariner is this one.
it gives it such a cool look. You know, I don't know why Rolex went away from doing that. I think it adds a lot to the watch, but it makes it something more aspirational for collectors to look up to. My personal favorite of the three happens to be this though, because I love GMT-Masters.
This is a special one because, okay, box papers, everything, you know, big logo bracelet, you know. But I think the coolest thing, and I don't know if everybody knows about this kind of version of GMT 6245, is the no-nuke bezel.
Right.
So there was a time, there were, as a owner, you can choose the normal bezel, radioactive, or the no-nuke bezel. And it's a little slight different because there are some little notches,
Right.
you know, on
It's not a brass metal plate anymore. It's steel.
And the color of the backlight is a lot more bright. No, I mean, compared to the other one.
Yeah, it's not translucent.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, and it's funny because you could either choose, but also in 1959, they recalled these bezels.
Yes.
The most radioactive
Of course.
thing I've ever encountered in the watch world.
That's why they were giving the chance to the owner to change the bezel. You know what I'm saying?
I had a new old stock Tropicol 6542. I put the Geiger counter on the watch and it exploded. I took the bezel off. It was the bezel. It was the bezel. It was the highest Geiger I'd ever seen. More than a Blancpain 50 fathoms, more than this, more than that, but like scary high.
Right. So all these very scary watches compared those one are the Panerai old.
Yeah.
The Panerai old is
Yeah. So I understand why they recalled it, for sure. I was like, let me put this bezel in a tin can and show it to the side.
absolutely.
But yeah, I love 6542s. I think they are the most beautiful GMTs.
Yeah.
I guess it's hard because they were the first, you know, and so.
Yeah.
But
And I like this one because it's a little special. It's not the same version.
Yeah,
You know?
no, the Bakelite bezel just like adds so much character to
Yeah.
these watches. It's a shame they were so fragile because they had to replace them.
That's the problem. You cannot wear it very well because if you bang the bezel, you are
Shattered, yeah, for sure. And yeah, this beautiful case. Look at this original hand-cut bevels on it. Really stellar watch. For me, there's a lot of sports Rolex watches that I feel they got right the first time, and then just got worse as the years went on. Like Double Red Sea Dweller, for example, perfect watch, and then they just got bigger, bulkier, and just unwearable. I think this was another example of a Rolex watch that was just perfect the first time it came out. Perfect. I understand why they did the upgrades, but for me, there's just nothing better. What do we have in terms of the weird stuff? The weird stuff. Tell me about this one here.
Okay, this is another unique, but this is a Patek Philippe Platinum. This watch was made by Patek Philippe for the Expo in Paris in 1935.
Oh, wow.
And there was, and I have the original advertising from the Expo, the Paris Expo, you know, at the time, I have it in Italy that I kept with this watch on the advertising, and this was the watch that was, so the same cover to the,
This is a cover lot, yeah.
And it's platinum with the ruby bezel.
Wow,
Yes.
that is so cool. I don't think I've ever seen Patek do anything like this except for.
I saw the version in yellow gold of this watch, you know, many years ago, you know. And this watch, I never saw one in platinum, probably. I think it's unique, the watch, you know, because I bought the watch in 1986, I say.
I was 1 year old.
I
was 1 year old.
I was 30 years old. In 1986.
How much did this cost in 1986?
I bought it from Jeff S.
Okay.
Do you remember Jeff S?
Upstate Florida?
Absolutely. In Geneva during an anti-porn auction, you know what I mean? And I think I bought it for 5,000 Swiss francs, something like that, you know.
But you know, I'm sure in 1986, that was a lot of money for this watch. I know, you were paying like a very fair, real price, you know?
Of course.
And here we are, how many years later? I'm horrible at math, 40 years later?
Yeah, I know.
So
but I always like this kind of very unusual watches, you know, because those are not,
Speaking of unusual.
Yes.
What is this?
Oh, this is another fun watch.
Bvlgari.
is a Bvlgari watch in white gold and teak, you know, from the end of the 60s, you know.
Wow.
With an original deploy and buckle signed Bvlgari, like a Cartier, you know.
Oh, wow. Yeah, it is.
You see?
I don't know if you can catch that right in there. Signed Bvlgari, 750 for white gold.
It's white gold, onyx dia, you know, and
I love the wood grain.
yeah, the wood grain is fantastic. And I saw another one of these watch like this one, and Auro has it.
Okay.
Yes.
So do you?
I don't know if it's still has it, you know, because you know, this, I never wanted to sell this watch because I love it.
Yeah, I mean, and like out of all the things on the table, this is by far and away probably the most inexpensive, but it also happens to be one of the coolest. Yeah, like, so you know, it's something that you'll never see again.
I was all of it.
You got to get a loan.
Cool,
You got to get on my wrist.
Yes.
No, I don't want to stretch out.
This is my wife that sometimes is wearing the watch. That's why I was Lapis. No.
This is super cool, you know, and you don't see a lot of interesting watches from Bvlgari.
No.
Now you do with the Octofinissimo line, but like,
But now all the Bvlgari are the Tubogasso, the Serpentine style. You know what I mean? Is which are, I mean, the masterpiece of Bvlgari watches, because you know the Tubogas, they have an incredible story with the Serpentine, and I love them. I bought so many. I started to buy these watches at the end of the 80s. You know, I mean, Piaget and Bvlgari. And for me, I always fell in love for ladies' watches.
because for you, it was always about style, you know? That's what I always liked about your...
And I still buy Piaget and Bvlgari and cool ladies' watches. I love ladies' watches. You know, I think it's a mix between, I mean, jewelry and horology, but you can find incredible stuff. For example, this is a Bvlgari Audemars Piguet Tubogas from the 50s, you know? And this is what I bought recently. This is a unique watch made for a noble family in Rome. You know, I mean, I went to Bvlgari, you know, they just gave me everything.
Not your
No. And this is a oversized, nobody saw it, this piece. Oversized Audemars Piguet, you know, I mean, this is a Manx watch. Yeah, it's unbelievable. You know, this is a really,
I gotta put this on.
It's the only one like this I ever saw. You know what I mean? And I had any kind of Tubogas and Serpentines ladies Bvlgari, but this one I never saw it. And they told me there was a special order.
Wow. Let's see if I can get this over my wrist.
And the size of the watch is immense.
Yeah, it's definitely a large size watch.
Absolutely.
It's funny, my sister's looking for a Bvlgari Serpentine, but maybe not this one. This one might be out of our price bracket. This is super cool.
Yeah, it's super cool. You know, I never saw one like this. I had to buy it because, you know, it's...
I like it. You know what? They're not like on.
You see, normally this is the size, this style. You know what I mean? Is which is beautiful anyway. Yeah, Bvlgari of the Piguet. Yes, 1956 is this watch.
Wow.
It's one of the first one. Yeah, and this one is 1962.
You never see AP cosine Bvlgari. Somebody showed me a 5402. I think I've seen one Royal Oak.
Normally they wearing, I mean, all the Tubogas, the old one, the Duoplan Jaeger-LeCoultre by Vacheron Constantin or by Jaeger-LeCoultre, even Omega sometimes, you know, they have it, you know what I mean? And those are the Serpentine style. Otherwise, these kind of watches, I always saw it with Jaeger-LeCoultre movement. But the Piguet is kind of, and I check in the archive of the Piguet, they have all the details regarding the watches made for Bvlgari. I found that both of them, you know.
So you got some good connections with an AP.
Of course. Owning the only split second in this, I have some friends inside.
They still harass you to buy them?
No, yes, of course, you know.
What else we have? What's the Piaget there?
The Piaget, this is another one which is incredible, you know what I mean? I never saw this one. The Piaget out there is a big boom of Piaget, but I never saw a watch like this with Lapis, Aquamarine, you know, I mean, I think it's unique.
It's the more translucent stuff.
Yeah, Aquamarine and Lapis is...
It's quartz, automatic?
No, it's manual. It's 1960s.
Oh yeah, it is manual. Wow. I figured it'd be quartz.
I stay away from quartz. You know, I never collect quartz watches. I don't know. You know, I mean, I have a feeling that are outside of my area. You know what I mean? It's the quartz.
So you were a collector and around during the quartz crisis. What was collecting mechanical watches like while all these brands were pushing quartz watches, you know, in the 70s, 80s, early 90s?
I mean, no, because, you know, this was the peak of the quartz watches for you know, at the beginning of the revival of the mechanical watches, you know, because, you know, I mean, everybody were wearing quartz watches, but they were first very ugly. I don't know if you, I mean, you see the first one.
Were collectors,
the quartz watches, they arrive on the market before, you know, the people that start to collect Ulbricht watches. You know what I mean? So it was
It didn't really matter.
no, absolutely no.
All right, show us a couple more and then we'll get out of here.
Those are. This is another, the Cartier.
Yeah, 2 Cartiers.
1940s oversized duoplan. This is, I never saw an oversized Cartier duoplan so big. You know, normally they're smaller. You know?
Yeah, for sure. Cartier Paris.
Yes.
The Pliant.
Of course.
Back wine watch.
Yes.
All the numbers. Wow, this is a rare watch.
Yes.
It's a really rare.
So big. You know what I mean? Normally they're very small. You know what I mean? It's,
yeah, where's like a reverso?
yeah.
But it's longer even though.
Yeah. This is a very long watch.
What era is this from?
End of 40s.
I was gonna say it has to be
Yes, yeah.
30s, 40s kind of thing. Wow. Crazy watch. Now more modern, but also
Yeah, this is this is one of the 50 pieces in platinum, but no, this is the one of the 3 that was made for Giorgio Seragnoli, which was a big Cartier collector in Italy, you know,
Okay.
with the blue graphic, otherwise the black graphic.
So platinum tank Cintree.
Yes.
It was like from the 90s to that.
Yeah, I mean, this is the first year, I think it's the end of the 90s, the beginning of 2000. It's the first 50 they were made, you know, in platinum, but this one is a special order. I think they did 3 with the blue graphic.
Yeah, Cartier's really loosened a lot on
Yeah.
their willingness to do like special order stuff. I think I've heard rumors that they're going to start making it harder again.
Yeah,
Just there's just too many special order Cartiers.
I always like to wear this watch, you know, I don't know why, it's a classic, you know.
Yeah, I think it's just an easy watch to wear, throw on. It
Yeah.
works with everything kind of thing.
Oh, yes, yes.
Yeah, so, and we saw that watch in our last video.
This is my gondolo.
That watch is incredible.
This is my gondolo in platinum.
Yeah, this watch is ridiculous.
This is one of my favorite watches.
I feel like there was one that sold in auction similar not long ago.
Yeah, but it's not, the dimension was completely different. The graphic, you know, the numerals, you know.
Right.
I mean, we already say there is another one in white gold. It's the twin brother of this one, you know. And Auro has it.
You and Auro have everything, huh?
Eh?
You and Auro have everything.
I think we have similar taste.
Wow. Well, honestly, thank you so much for showing us these watches. We will keep some in the tank for a part 3.
Absolutely. Next
for
time.
Presumably our follow-up and final video with Massimo. Thank you so much again. Really,
Yeah,
they like
very
all
well.
these watches. And I'm just going to leave with these on my wrist.
Okay.
On my name.
Okay. Bye.
How much you suck at your job? I don't know why I pay you. You're so shitty at this. Oh my God. Are you ready? Yeah, let's do it. Guy, you ready? Are you sure? Are you ready? We're ready. Are you ready?
I think so.
All right.